Hello, welcome. I'm Decipher, and these are the adventures of Zethon. In this episode, we find Zethon heading out on yet another whirlwind adventure. Back to the dreaded Freeport. Makes a trade or two, meets some people, and ends up in Kithakor Forest. You might be asking yourself, why the dreaded Freeport? Why am I calling it that? Well, on Zethon's first experience of Freeport, if you recall from the second episode, nearly ended his entire career. If you have not checked that episode out, I will leave the link in the description. Don't run, you coward! Remember, you attacked me first. Alright, fine, forget this. We don't have time. We're going out on an adventure. Some of you might be asking, why are you going to Kithakor Forest? More experienced players probably already know the answer to this. Did a little research and I found something I absolutely must have. Actually, I ended up getting 8 of them. But for that, you'll have to wait till the end of the video to see it. On our way to Kithakor, we ended up stopping by East Commons to try and sell 10 stacks of bone chips and ended up trading them for a ring. While waiting for the boat, I met this young bard. I was going to ask him about the guild pals and how he liked it and what he thought of it. As I am considering joining a guild, I think it's about time. I'm in my lower 20s and liking the game a whole lot. But I think they got to the docks and went AFK for a bit. So unfortunately, I did not get to have that conversation. And the boat ride roulette. I call it that because if you've watched episode 2, you would know that anytime I can go link dead and fall off the boat while it's in transit. But luckily, not this time. After shuddering the moment I got off the boat, I made a beeline for the bank, got my bone chips, got a bind, and headed out for East Commons. Before we headed off to the East Commons tunnel and before we headed off to Kithakor, decided to stop in, grab some bandages, grab some food, grab some water, going on a long journey. So needed to stop in and buy some arrows. Being the extraordinary YouTuber that I am, I completely forgot to hit the record button when I made the transaction for the ring. So what happened was I was trying to sell 10 stacks of bone chips for 5 platinum each. And after I'd posted it, stood there for a while looking at the items that people were selling, and I noticed that this seller was selling a golden fire wedding ring. And I just happened to click on it, look at it, and he was selling it for 45 platinum. Well, it has 4 AC and 45 HP. And I was like, I wouldn't mind having it. So I offered him the 10 stacks of bone chips that I had as a trade. He'd make a couple extra plat off of it. And at first he said no. And then I said, well, hey, if you have 2, I'll run to the bank real quick and grab 90 platinum, come back for both of them. And he responded with, hey, I'll go ahead and take the bone chips for the ring. And I said, well, if you have 2, I can give you the bone chips for one now, run to the bank, get 45 platinum, bring that back to you for the second one, or I can give you, run to the bank, give you 90 platinum for both of them, whichever way you'd like to do it. And he said, no, I only have the one ring, but I'll take 10 stacks bone chips. So I went ahead and made the trade and got my ring. Journey to Kithkor Forest from Unrest was a very long trip, but it wasn't very treacherous. I didn't run into anything outside of Unrest and the Cauldron that would attack me. I'm level 21, so it was a pretty safe little trip. As I was running through West Commons, I saw a couple small groups XPing, saw some people waiting for ports, waiting for buffs. And then we finally made it to Ithkor Forest. Sorry, Kithkor Forest. Finally. Alright, so I get to Kithkor Forest and I start looking up the wiki for the mob name and the location for it. And then I do a /who for the area and see that there's 3 people there, 2 plus me. And I'm like, oh great. So there's going to be somebody camping the mob right now, trying to get their backpacks. And then there's going to be the next person in line. And then it's going to be me. So I'm like, oh God, how long am I going to have to be here? I had no clue. And my playtime is extremely limited compared to some people. So we run, we run, doing location the whole time, getting where it tells me to go. So I roll up to the location, I look around for the mob, and as soon as I do, I see somebody casting a spell. I look over, there's the mob, and I'm like, yep, my worst fears. Now I'm gonna have to sit here forever and ever. Who knows how many bags she has, who knows how long she's gonna be here, and who knows how long the next person's gonna be here. And she tells me, if you want the camp, it's all yours. Just got my last bag, finally. In my head, I'm like, no effing way. And I tell her, thank you very much. Was just going to ask. She tells me good luck. I told her to be safe, and she told me you too. Now the camp is all mine. I watch her port out just to be sure that she's done. After killing a placement spider, or a placeholder that was a spider for the named mob, he spawns, but right as he spawns, the gentleman that was just on the screen pops in. We talk for a minute, and he's looking to take over the camp. And we have a little conversation, and he told me good luck. I told him I just got the camp. And this is my first bag when I eventually, kill him. And this is what I worked towards all day long. I was so excited I couldn't even close the screen out. And during my first session, he spawned about every other time something spawned there. Alright, so my first session I ended up getting my first 4 bags, and I decided to log in during what I would consider off-peak time, or what I thought would be off-peak time. And I've been at the camp for, I don't know, about 20-30 minutes. Nobody was here when I first got here, so I just took the camp. And after that 20-30 minutes of being here, this person shows up and paranoia kicks in. So I start recording them just in case they tried to steal the mob or tried to say that I was camp stealing, kill stealing, whatever you want to call it. And no, they ended up messaging me and asking me if I was camping for the bags, and I said yes. And they asked me if I would message them when I left. I told them absolutely, and that it shouldn't be too long. My shouldn't be too long ended up turning into 2.5 hours of being there. I kept having to kill the placeholder spider instead of the named mob. I would get 4 to 5 placeholders before I'd get one mob. I thought it was going to be every other one would be the named mob, but you know, I ended up getting all 8 bags in the end anyway. All right, so being the world-renowned YouTuber that I am, I once again forgot to press a record button on the final kill to get my final bag, the whole purpose for today's video, and I forgot to record it. But anyway, as you can see, I have all 8 of them. And I think we're going to go ahead and end the video here. I thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.